Here we are, hitting up events, drinking our way through Chicago beer, and trying not to miss a thing.
Yeah, because, the cork popped out, boom, it flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it.
All you have to do is add some fruit, stir it up, and ride that milk-shaped wave.
Whenever I see him, I gotta take a photo with the most decorated brewer in Chicago, Jonathan Cutler.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. You ever go to, every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Sometimes you want a small beer, but really, you want a big beer.
You gotta take in all those big aromatic hops.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Waiting in line for a bottle release?
You should have never been a fad. The Black IPA is delicious.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski,
Brad, what's up, man? I'm Nik White.
and we're celebrating Begyle on this episode. 10 years.
Yeah, it's Begyle Week. They've got their killer, I was going to say Lovers and Friends party, but I forget what the name of their party is.
Friends Together? Or
Friends Together party, 10 years. It's a full-on festival at in Ravenswood.
At Bottles and Cans.
It's with Bottles and Cans, but it's at the it's at the Artifacts.
That's right.
It's at Artifacts.
Okay. And so to celebrate, and we've talked about this on many of episodes on how we need to basically get rid of our batches because they were piling up. We have 3 anniversary batches. We have batch 500, which is their 5th anniversary, batch 663, which is their 7th anniversary, and then their latest one that came out at the last release of the Imperial Pajamas, batch 1000, which is their 10 year.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm just trying to look up info on the party and just see what's going on here.
So we've had these for a little while. That's a good sign. Batch 500, carbonated. When we open it, looks like a little bit of crustiness around the cap. Let's see, 666. Oh, also carbonated. And I'm sure batch 1000 here is going to be carbonated too, since it's brand new. So we have 3 taster glasses, so we can kind of go back and forth, see what we got. These are all... Well, this one's a barrel-aged barley wine. The other one says English-style barrel-aged barley wine. And then the last one says bourbon barrel-aged barley wine. So all the same thing, just different wording on this? Or we know batch 1000 is bourbon barrels. I don't know if the other ones say if they were bourbon barrels or...
This one's Koval, so I'm going to assume that's a bourbon barrel too.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so 6 months and 4 grain whiskey barrels from Koval.
Okay.
Koval's also in Ravenswood.
4 grain whiskey and oak whiskey barrels. From
Koval?
Koval.
Yeah.
So then batch 1000 probably Koval too. Fuzzy. Say it's our... No, it doesn't say if it's Koval this time, but I would think so. Maybe not. But so all Koval, all whiskey barrels, all barley wines, just different wording as they probably figured out what was working that year or selling that year.
Yeah, all about 12% too.
Yeah, so it's about to get crazy.
The old Begyle, the artist formerly known as Argyle, right? And then they changed their name because I think some sort of Australian wine company was called Argyle.
Right.
And then they resurfaced as Begyle, exact same font, and it seemed to work out for them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They all pour out really nice, much more carbonation on the batch 1000 than any of the other ones, but very similar color. So I'm interested to see how these taste. We probably should have not had batch 500 this long. 2017, so pre-pandemic. Also, that was 2019 pre-pandemic too.
It's interesting. 6 months in a whiskey barrel is an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that surprisingly tastes better than I expected it to still taste.
Yeah, that seems to work. This party, man, on the 18th, they're gonna have 20 guest breweries.
Oh shit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's 20 guest breweries. There's it looks like there's 3 different bands. One of the bands is the Yacht Rockettes. They're really good. They were at the anniversary, the Festiversary.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's a distillery lineup that includes not one, not two, but three, four, five, six distilleries.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be a full on fucking hang, man. There's like almost 10 food truck options. This is a full blown party, Brad. Yeah, good for them. So is it bottles and cans?
Also celebrating, yeah. I
Yeah,
believe, how much are
yeah.
tickets? Like $45?
Link is in bio. Yeah.
Okay.
So that sounds like a good winter party.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Best friends turn 10.
That's what I said.
Begyle and bottles and cans. Birthday bash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the over under? No, it's 60.
Oh, 60, okay.
Artifact events in Ravenswood.
So, yeah, $60, but you're getting a pretty big lineup there and supporting Begyle, supporting bottles and cans.
This is a full on fucking festival.
Yeah.
And that's an event space worthy of like an end of year bash. Like we've been there for that.
Yeah, we've been there for Brewers Eve.
It's a good hang. That's a nice space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that space. Yeah, I think the Timeout Awards were there one time.
Okay.
I saw that there. Basil Hayden had a Friends giving event there. It's just a massive space. You can hide out and you can be amongst all these weird kind of ancient art pieces,
Yeah.
right? It's like multiple levels, multiple rooms and shit. It's a good hang.
So I've now gone back and forth on them all. 666, or not 663, I felt like it was very much thinner and lighter feeling.
He's not wrong. Yeah. It's a little more muted. It's surprising because the older one actually has a lot more attitude than the 666.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though they're all relatively the same, ABV about 12.5%.
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of surprising. And then,
They all look the same.
yeah, and then 1000 here, a little almost thinner than the 500, but definitely hotter, has that like little alcohol burn on it a little bit, but
Yeah, I like
really
the
good.
aromatics a little bit more on there too. I don't know, some sort of like Christmas cake, fruit cake. It's kind of got like
Fruitcake.
some kind of fruit cake thing going.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. So 663 is kind of this weird outlier here that's almost a little different or something. It's kind of, I'm surprised it's so thin.
Yeah, man. Koval was in the building that is now. Well, wow, what is that building now? Because it changed over a few times, right? The original Koval space. Koval, they were next door to Metropolitan, right? And then Urban Brew Labs moved into the Koval space.
Yeah.
And then he left. So I don't know what's there now.
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah. But, Koval's not in that space anymore. They literally moved, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks down the street.
Yeah.
And now they have a tasting room. And I think,
I've never gone to the tasting room, but I've gone and picked up beer, or not beer, Christmas presents from the little shop, from the gift shop area.
I don't make a lot of cocktails at home, but my favorite cocktail, I keep the Koval cranberry gin liqueur. I keep that in the freezer. I keep the little pony bottles of Prosecco and pour that over ice and squeeze a little lime, and you're ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Do you have a favorite of these three? I am just floored that 500 is holding up as well as it should. There's no business that this should taste as good as it does.
yeah,
still.
it's ridiculous. 4 months and a barrel doesn't make any sense. It being 5 years old being this good also doesn't make any sense. It's taking the lead right now. Yeah. Followed by the Batch 1000
Yeah.
and then the 663.
That's kind of where I am too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going back and forth. Probably could blend those two together and get like a nice, perfect balance, or you'll end up with a 6.
Well, you'll
6-3,
fuck it all up. There's only one way to know.
Yeah. We'll do it at some point as we sip on these. We do have a crankshaft here for a little chaser glass rinse kind of thing. So, all right, bounce around here as we talk about a few events, some news, and what Nick made it to, because I got lazy and couldn't do a new spot this past week.
It's easy to do. It's the dog days of winter. Sometimes you just want to chill. I mean, had the weather been like it is today, I probably wouldn't have gone anywhere this week either.
It was so nice over the weekend. I took down the Christmas lights.
Oh, yeah.
I did that kind of things.
Yeah.
Cleaned up the garage a little bit. Just picked up garbage, shit like that. Outdoor things.
Adult stuff.
Yeah, that felt like it was almost like summertime too. Or spring. Getting outside, doing some things.
Yeah.
So that didn't lead me to any drinking outside the house.
663 tasting weird right now. right?
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll go back to it. Maybe as I get a little more tipsy. So I did nothing, but Nick made it out to the burbs, living that burb life.
Rocking the suburb Nick, live from the front lines at your service. Yeah, so I ended up at Pollyanna,
Okay.
and which is on one side of the river, and then you go to the other side of the river to Geneva,
Yeah.
and you go to art history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're real close to Riverlands.
Really?
Real close.
You know, it's funny. It was so nice out, and then park the car and get out at Pollyanna. It really sits right on the river. Oh, but when you look across the river, Altar is directly across the.
Really?
Because you could see the logo, and I'm like, huh, I never noticed that. Well, I mean, I never noticed. I've never been to fucking St. Charles.
And this is the Pollyanna with the distillery too.
Yes. So Pollyanna has 3 locations. I want to say the original is Lamont, which I think is Southwest.
Okay.
Roselle, wherever that is. And then this new one, which is a distillery, and it's a concert venue.
Yeah.
They got a huge concert stage. They got distillery equipment, and they're not. I don't think they're brewing there. I think they're brewing out of Lamont still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to that one, and I've been to the Roselle one.
Roselle.
Because that's the one like right by the train.
Yeah, I get confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was good. I drink Pollyanna when I'm at Sox Park, and I have never been. My one time at Lamont was just this massive party that kind of caught me off guard, how good it was and how big it was.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, fuck it, let's go to fucking Pollyanna. Pollyanna, they make these, they medal every year at FOBAP, and it's for the same beer, Orenda, which is, there's 2 different versions of it. One's a Belgian quad, one's a Belgian triple. So we were looking at these numbers, from the ABV Chicago, the fantasy draft shit, and you see these patterns, and it's like the crews most likely to medal are Revolution and Off Color, and then fucking
Pollyanna
with this one beer every single year since 2017, Brad. It's like 6 years in a row they've medaled.
So
with this
on
beer.
your FOBAB draft list,
If you can get them, they're always in the top 5. They're usually taken in the top 5. So
Okay.
if you don't, and you're fucked.
but you're guaranteed at least one medal.
Every year since 2017. Huh. It's interesting, and it's such a bizarre, like, kind of outlier, so they're packaging both these beers, and they got them on draft. So that's the first thing I go to, and then it's a distillery. So I'm like, well, let's take everything. Give me the flight.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Malort isn't too bad.
Yeah, Malort. So the flight had 5 on it. Malort, Aquavit, which is like basically a Scandinavian Malort.
Okay.
They had a gin, a barrel-aged gin. So that's 3, and then 2 versions of the bourbon.
Okay.
One was a 3-year, and the other one was like a 1.5 years. Man, both of those are really nice. I was surprised because they were super young, and they didn't taste that young at all. Really, they were just really well done. They had some rums. I really couldn't stand the rum. I think everything else was really good. It's kind of surprising. I'm not saying that like I went in thinking it was gonna suck. It was just like, hey, these are all really good. Good for you guys.
Right.
So.
And yeah, that's a nice little setup there, and like the beer cooler is real nice. It's right by the bathroom, so you get a nice big selection to choose from to take anything to go.
Yeah. So, it's a good way to get things going, because it takes an hour to get there. You know what I mean?
Right. So you did that, and then you went basically on the other side of the river. Not Altar.
No,
but
they didn't go to Altar.
not Penrose.
You know what's funny about
Not
this?
Riverlands.
This river, it's when you come into town, St. Charles has a very nice water tower. Obviously, so there's no water towers in Chicago. So the minute you leave, you notice there's water towers in these other towns. Side note, Hoffman Estates, water tower really sucks. But St. Charles has you need to step it up, Hoffman Estates. St. Charles has a huge water tower with a big ass fox on it.
Right.
So I'm like, I think that's the name of the river, the Fox River.
Yeah.
Oh, but it must be really low because the overpass, like I can't imagine like a nice sized boat getting under it.
No.
It's kind of a low overpass, right?
Yeah, most of the time, right there in St. Charles and Batavia, it's sort of like waterfalls, or it like drops down a level, so boats can't. You can only go so far, and so people canoe it, but they have to get off their canoes. Because they have to get off the canoes to like go down the level. So it's basically made so people aren't, the Fox River isn't made to like cruise on your boat.
Got it. And that's something I didn't know until I noticed how low the overpass was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So St. Charles is on one side. Cross the river, go to Geneva.
Yeah.
Fucking art history.
Okay.
I like our history, man. I like the smoke beer. I just like how small and focused they are. And I'm like, well, I've been boozing on fucking, spirits at this other joint. I'm gonna come in here and get a lager. I go there, and there's like no lagers on. It was so bizarre.
What they have?
They had all ales. They had like fucking 10 ales on.
Huh. Weird.
That's what I said. Then when you look around, some of the artwork references double IPAs. So there's a double IPA. There's a saison. There's a saison with cherries. There's a pale ale. There's a West Coast IPA. I'm just like, I have no idea. I'm like, is this a guest list? I have to be, I have to be sure.
They moved it all to Geneva Lager
Moved
Works.
it all to Geneva Lager Works. So there was the Rausch beer and then like another lager. And then other than that, it was all hop forward styles, if you will. So it was very cool. It was interesting because I'm like, we've always kind of pegged them from a distance as a lager brewery, but their stories, that's not where their story ends.
Okay.
You know,
What made you pick those two out of, we mentioned all of them right there, Pollyanna, Alter, Riverlands, Penrose, Geneva, Lagerworks, Art History. They're all like right there.
yeah.
What made you pick those two?
I think two things. I have no idea where I am when I leave the city. So all these other things you named, I knew Penrose was there, but the other ones I had no understanding of where they all were. I could have just looked at a map, but I didn't know where I was exactly. So I'm like, well, listen, I'm gonna go to the One Essa distillery as well.
Okay.
So I think that's where Pollyanna won out, and then I had never been.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then I feel like our history is the one can't miss stop. I think from what I've been to was always our history.
Okay.
So I'm like, hit those two, and then if there's room, maybe something else, but definitely those two.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's how I ended up there.
So, but no time for another stop.
I'm like, I know. I'm like, where do you guys go eat? This town shuts down at 9 p.m. Tell me to go eat
You
somewhere.
gotta order some food, right? You gotta have it delivered.
I ended up at some Italian joint, just had like a pizza at the bar. That's the locals, right? They said it's a taco joint and a pizza joint. Taco joint closes in a half hour. You got an hour for the pizza joint.
Okay.
So I went there.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun ride, man.
That sounds pretty good. Okay, so we could cross those off our suburban list. I know the burger guy, he ends up at Art History quite a bit, and Riverland's right there. So
You're gonna become one of these regulars. You're gonna follow the Grateful Dead. You're gonna be a deadhead for this guy.
I feel like on the last episode I talked about it, and
A biker dude.
and I enjoyed this burger, and I thought it was a very good burger. But I need to have it again to basically confirm my thought. It was good.
It wasn't. You want to make sure it wasn't just in the moment that you really liked it.
Right, or was the allure of it going and getting it, and did the experience make it that much better? That's kind of what I want to know. It's sort of like the doing Dark Lord Day kind of thing. Yeah. You're there for the event and you have it, and you think it's good, but then
it's never as good as the time you had it on the spot. That's true.
So was it? I think it was good, and these other people think it was good enough to follow them around. So, but it also gets me to new spots. I feel like it's like a 2-for-1.
And that's the most important thing, right? Get you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I kind of like this idea of I have this other reason to go to these places. I have a reason for the show.
Yes.
I have a reason because I enjoy these breweries' beers, and now I also get to have this burger. So it's very interesting.
I mean, yeah, all the things you said. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I've never had biker dude.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to leave town I'm down for the adventure.
Okay. But yeah, those mostly west suburbs there. But I posted on our Twitter. I was like, oh, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and Begyle has their
Dicey Riley.
I was like, well, I need to venture out and get other St. Patrick's Day beers. And one of them that's on the list now, and I need to watch to see, I think it might already be out, is Hailstorm. Because I haven't been since Will Turner took over as head brewer, and they have a Southside Irish Red.
Oh, okay.
So I think I need to give up on the West Burbs for a little bit and go south.
And go south, yeah. If you go to Tinley Park, there's a sign off of 80 or one of those highways, and it says "Welcome to Beer Country."
Mm-hmm.
So you got the open bottle fancy shop. You got the barbecue joint out there that has like 30 beers on draft, and then you have like 4 breweries. You got fucking
Sound.
Sound Growler, Hailstorm,
The new one that's not 450.
Flipside.
Flipside.
Yeah, all it used to be 350.
350.
And then there's another one too.
Brothership.
Yeah, yeah. So you got 4 breweries out there.
Mm-hmm. I think there's another one. I might be forgetting, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm on the hunt now, not only for this burger, but to get some other Irish Reds in cans.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to like look up people's lists and kind of what's happening. I would settle for some, maybe some just stouts too, like Irish stout or just a dry stout.
That's true. That is the beauty of St. Patty's Day. You get all the local guys come out and they make the style, but then they could make 1 or 2 styles.
Right.
Oh, I guess just like Oktoberfest, 2 styles.
So that's my mission for these coming weeks. And it would be almost easier if I could just have Hailstorm deliver me the Southside Irish beer, right?
You know, you look at some of these places,
Because my corner store doesn't get Hailstorm.
you know, and if they do, they don't get them all. You know, these places like 30 miles away, man. You know, plus traffic, that's a lot. You know, so.
But we were talking pre-show, and we were going to talk about this here, that there's some pushback on this bill that the guild wants to do to let breweries deliver to the consumer like they did during the pandemic. And I feel like I would take advantage of this based on the fact that, like, I could get beers from maybe some places that I wouldn't typically go to and I don't usually see in the store. During the pandemic, I had, it was basically, kind of on lockdown, so I wasn't going anywhere. So I was getting things like Salamoth. I had brew yards, deliveries. So basically places that I wanted to support that I didn't want to see go away. That was sort of the beers I was getting or having delivered or picking up. But now I think if this bill happened, I would be looking for breweries that I don't see very often. And I kind of want to try something from them. And also, when I was having things delivered, you had the option to have like merch delivered too, like hats and glasses, or not like eyeglasses, but glassware.
Right.
And so that would be also interesting if, order a couple 4-packs and get glasses to go with it. You can't get those in the store. You can't get those at a bar.
Right. And then, I think the number was 300 statewide breweries, right? Yeah, so just in general, like just having access to all 300 just makes some sense for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the flip side of that, and we were saying this in the pre-show, is like, well, what if you're a restaurant or a bar? Like, do you think this is as cool as the consumers think it is?
Okay, and you saw a Twitter thread, basically.
There was a rant on the in the beer space, and they talked about basically how there were 4,000 bars and restaurants that closed during the pandemic, and this move, if it goes through, doesn't seem like it's a level playing field for bars that have supported these breweries and helped them grow. You're kind of encouraging people to. I think the argument is they're encouraging people to purchase beers online and not go to bars. The bars are taking it personal.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like.
Do I go to restaurants less because I can have Grubhub deliver me food?
Then this is what we were saying, right? Because like,
aren't I hurting the restaurant?
Like if I go to a bar, right, I was going regardless, right? You want to go for the hang. Maybe they got a jukebox. Maybe you like the people that work there. Maybe you just like the scene, right? It's a cooler scene than you have in your drinking space at home, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if the option to have, I always use Scratch Brewing as an example because I really want to go. I don't know if having the option to have Scratch mailed to me is going to stop me from going to whatever bar is near the crib. Like Sleeping Village. I can walk to Sleeping Village.
Sure.
If I'm going, I'm going, right? It doesn't matter that I can get beer shipped to me. If I want to go to Sleeping Village, that's where I'm going to go. And this has no effect on that.
Yeah.
But I think bar owners are kind of seeing it like, well, this changes things. because potentially people would rather have it shipped than come hang out here. And we're upset about that. There's some that's what this thread was about.
But they're saying they would block this bill.
then there was some conversation about, listen, since the guild has the brewers' best interest at heart and not the retailers, then we should align with people who have our best interests, and that would be distributors, that would be the Illinois Restaurant Association in some respects, and maybe we try to lobby against this bill. There was some conversation about that as well.
I guess in that sense, why isn't the corner store a threat to the bar, or the grocery store selling alcohol? Is that not a threat to the bar? Because I can go and buy as much beer as at the store that I want and never leave my house, which is typically how it works. But so wouldn't you just want to stop everyone but you from selling beer, which is the most like you have a restaurant, it's the most anti-capitalistic thing, anti-consumer thing to basically be pushing to hurt my options, my freedom.
Right. I mean, it sounds silly when you say it, but there's a lot of truth in that, right? Like the guild uses the word modernize, and I think, we have a show where we're consumers. Hey, we're not producers and we're not bar owners. We're consumers, and the first thing we're thinking is, oh shit, there's like 80 breweries in the city, and look at us, we're all the way out and at the edges of the earth because we want something new. And and then most of craft beer, I would argue that most craft beer adventurers are, they're more likely to do their thing at bottle shares, right?
Sure, yeah.
And meetups than they are and go to bars to discover new beers. So, I mean, I think it's just kind of a tone deaf kind of me first kind of attitude when you say, oh, well, don't modernize the system because people might come here less. So don't give people the ability to have stuff shipped to their house. I don't know. As a non-bar owner, as a consumer, that seems like a bit much.
Yeah, we're not bar owners. We typically go to breweries because we have a show that talks about beer. We'll sometimes mention, this place had these beers or we can't get these ones and we went there. So I understand that, but at the same time, people don't necessarily, since the pandemic, people don't really go out or haven't gone out as much. They're continuing to, but you're basically using that as like an excuse for like, oh, my business isn't doing well because someone can have beer delivered to their house, but I can already have beer delivered to my house. Grubhub, I can do Drizzy and have beer delivered to my house.
It's like the old Pete Crowley line where he would say, there's not too many breweries. Look at how many fucking steakhouses there are. Don't have a crutch to say there's too many breweries here as an excuse to that your brewery's not working out. Because pizza has left that horse has left the stable. There's pizza and there's steakhouses everywhere. No one's saying there's too many fucking steakhouses. Oh, where they're delivering. So, I mean, I don't know.
Right. It's frozen pizza. Do I go out for pizza less because I can get frozen pizza?
I think we're onto something, right? Like, am I not going to go to Pat's and hang out and have a pie there because I can get pizza delivered or I can have pizza that's frozen? Yeah. No. If you want to go to Pat's, you're going to go regardless.
Right. You want a different experience when you go out. And typically I'm going to a bar, not like some people go by themselves and however you want to go, but I'm typically going with someone to meet someone or to eat at these places. Like if you're just a bar that just serves beer, you're probably like a dive bar kind of establishment or more like super local. But I'm going to somewhere like Hop Leaf because one, you have food. If you didn't have food, like Map Room, probably haven't been to Map Room in 10 years.
I think I went once in that 10-year span.
You know why I don't go?
I went once.
You don't have food. Once I'm there, I have to have already eaten, and then I'm like full.
I'm a sucker for a fancy cup, and I know if I get a Belgian there, they're gonna have the fancy Belgian cup.
But that's probably one reason I haven't gone to somewhere like Map Room, because you're either in a stop of places that I'm going to with other people, or I'm going to have to come up with another place to go to because this leads to something else.
I was at I was last week. I was saying I was in the line with Delilah's from Mike Miller from Delilah's, and we had a conversation about how spirits trips like vodka and bourbon, those trips are way cooler than like beer trips, right? And
Okay.
he's like, what's even cooler than that is wine trips. And the point I'm making is like he was like, I went on this wine trip with this guy, and you'd be surprised how much Bordeaux we sell at Delilah's. And from a distance, I don't even think of Delilah's as a wine bar at all, right? But they go on trips, they pick grapes, they have relationships with wine people. I think the point I'm making is like, if you're a beer focused bar, right, and the brewers are trying to, basically have their product shipped straight to consumers and not include bars, then these pivots where you might, I don't know, have more of expanded wine program or have partnered with breweries like the Beer Temple did. There's a single barrel of Death Star, at the Beer Temple,
Yeah.
that they picked, or have those bar exclusives the same way. There's taproom exclusives. These are some of the things that you would like to hear in these chats.
Or have some other beer from places that are a little harder for us to get to, like somewhere like, I don't know, I can't even think, like Owen Engine that's not even open anymore, but, or like when it was,
Good ass burger.
why would they have Maplewood on draft? That would be incredibly dumb, right? Because it's literally 3 doors down.
Yeah.
So you have beers from other places because you aren't pulling the same people. You're pulling different people, and the people that come there want to have something different. Otherwise, they would have went to Maplewood.
Yeah. I don't know. It's we are non-bar owners. So, but I think, well, Brad brought this up last week. He's like, hey, that's very cool, but what if you own a bar? That'd be kind of fucked up. And I was like, you know what? I think you're right. And then I saw this thread. I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, I said that?
I think you did say, you mentioned something like, how cool is that for people that are not brewers that are selling this stuff?
Yeah.
That you can get it shipped straight to you. It might not be as cool,
I guess, but it's hard to. I think as many options we have to consume whatever it is, the better it is. Like I can have coffee beans delivered, and it doesn't stop me from going to Starbucks or Backlot and getting coffee when I get on the train or something because I made coffee at home.
I think that's the point we're trying to make, is that this attempt to have a new approach towards how you get beer, it's in line with everything else we do in our world,
right,
as far as like being more convenient.
I think the only thing we said in the pre-show was, if anything, this hurts the corner stores that are typically there for just alcohol and cigarettes and lottery tickets, right? Because why would I hit up that corner store unless it was like, oh my gosh, we need another case of Miller Lite for this party, than getting it delivered when I could get something delivered pre-party or something.
No Michelob, you're going Miller Lite, huh?
I don't know, that was just the first thing I
No
said.
Michelob. I'm gonna go Michelob.
I was gonna say a case of High Life, but I was like, does that come in cases?
It's a champagne of beers.
Cases.
It says it right on the bottle, Brad.
So I think the backlash on these restaurant/bar owners trying to block a consumer bill could really backfire on people. Basically, you being like, you're not pro-consumer, but a lot of these places were supported, like a place like Hop Leaf were supported because people were like, I don't want to see you go. You're selling wine, you're selling kegs, we're going to come get growlers, we're going to come to these places because, or Delilah's that was selling bottles during the pandemic. And it's like, oh, well, now you don't want to support my choice to get things. I feel like that's...
If the public at large were aware that these opinions were, if the public at large were aware of these opinions in a wide.
Yeah, they probably won't be.
Right.
They won't care.
No, I don't think they'll care. Yeah,
It'll be a bill that may or may not get blocked, and no one will know anything that it got blocked. So
it's interesting, though. It's interesting to see the wholesaler side or the producer side, the brewers, versus the retail side, and how they might not be as friendly as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that part was interesting. Like they're actually kind of the opinions are not the opinions on this being good are not necessarily the same on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the bill, do you know the bill off the top of your head? Is it to, like the pandemic, for someone like Begyle just to roll up in a pickup truck
Let's
and
see.
like toss beer out, or are they mailing it?
Direct to consumer craft beer shipping. So it creates a brewer shipping license. So breweries can have a bigger market share, more tax revenue, and shipments subject to age verification. So that doesn't really get into the specifics of the
So
bill.
it's not necessarily mailing, it's some sort of shipping.
This is a shipping bill.
It could be mailing. They could just like partner like UPS or post office kind of thing. But we don't even know if that's just in Illinois, or could someone from Wisconsin be ordering Begyle beer and having it mailed to them? Or a state that allows liquor to be mailed to them. I don't know. You could do
Yeah.
the beer of the month clubs though in Illinois. So breweries outside of Illinois can ship to consumers inside Illinois, right?
So from a guild perspective, they think that the direct-to-consumer shipping will do for brewers what the Self-Distribution Act did in 2011 for brewers, which is allow you to restore one-on-one relationships with customers.
Okay.
So it sounds like that's the motivation here, just to have an extension of what the self-distro did. Yeah, because there's so much consolidation. The argument is there's so much consolidation at the distribution level that is raising red flags at the federal level. So they're kind of saying, well, all these distributors are partnering together. So you get what they call the illusion of choice when you go to some places where you see like 20 brands, but all 20 brands are fucking AB because it's AB distro.
Sure, okay.
You know what I mean? So I think it's the feds are saying that illusion of choice is fucked up. Let's have real choice. Let's have distro. Let's have people distro themselves.
Okay.
And this is an extension of that.
We need, Sean Curry, our
My
fact
man.
checker. He's going to chime in on this. We need him
Yeah.
to kind of let us know. I'm sure he knows what's happening. This would be a good reason to go.
I mean, he's at a brewery,
Yeah.
right? He's at a brewery that has 2 locations, right? So, those 2 distribution models could be different at each location. Who knows? I'm very curious to see how producers feel about this.
Yeah.
And do they feel like, are their needs being met by distro? And are there really red flags with regards to distro and you need direct-to-consumer access? I'd like to know more about that.
All right. Or we could ask, in the next episode, we're going to be down at, talking to Steve at Two Hound Red.
Yeah. I'm glad you got that can here.
I know. I feel like, I'm not telling this.
It's a tricky name.
I want to say Two Red Hound.
I want to say 200 red.
Oh, 200 Red. Oh,
Yeah.
Two Hound.
I always keep saying 200 red, and that's not it either.
So we'll ask him, and we'll get the lowdown on this name, because that's going to be our next episode after this one.
That's right. Glen Ellen, Illinois. We're headed your way. We'll be there Monday.
Yeah.
It'll be good. Yeah. Can't wait.
Damn. Anything else we should talk about before we run in circles on barley wines? Did 663 come back and
Oh, yeah.
treat you right, or?
I've been riding the fuck out of this.
I know, me too. But
Batch
then
500,
I go to 1,000, and I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
500 is like
Sleeper hit. Surprise. The surprise of the whole show. Yeah. If we get tickets to this fucking Friends of the anniversary thing, we should tell them. 500 is fucking holding its own.
It's tasting really good right now. So if anyone, for whatever stupid reason, you're sitting on batch 5,000 or 500, and you're like, this is a 5-year-old beer. I'm gonna have to just toss this out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, it's tasting great.
If they have a cellar raid and they're selling these on a Sunday morning, I'm getting the fucking 500. Yeah, that works.
But did they do one every year? I don't remember.
Well, these feel like just milestone batches, right?
Right.
Now, they do pajamas every year. Oh, but no, but that's something different because these are barley wines. Pajamas is the stout.
Right. It's the oatmeal stout, but it comes out around or typically was coming around the same time.
Oh,
so.
do they do the barley wine every year? I don't know.
don't know. They probably end after
that's
batch
a-
1,000 because it starts to happen too fast, right?
That's the common theme in the show. We're always often left with unanswered questions. Pretty much every time out.
All right, then. I think we should leave it there. Anything else we need to touch on or mention?
No, man. Cheers to Begyle for 10 years, man.
Yeah. Nick, where can people find you, get in touch?
Hey, man. I'm on Twitter at Nicosio.
And I'm on Twitter at BRAD, Chicago Beer Pass, Twitter, Instagram, website, chicagobeerpass.com. Hit us up if you have any Irish Reds that we should be drinking. We probably need to start this. We're like 3 weeks out.
Tell us what the greatest Irish red is you've ever had. Yeah, I
So
want
next week we start St. Patrick's Day for nonstop until St. Patrick's Day.
God help us all, man.
Green beers only. Have to dye our beards green. We'll glitter beard it, and we'll do
Dude,
it.
I feel like it was just St. Patty's Day.
Take care.
Cheers.